98 The teachings of the Lord of the Second Coming. 4.2.2 What decides God's side and Satan's side? The question of which nations are on God's side, and which are on Satan's side, is decided based on the direction of God's providence of restoration. Those who are in line with the direction of God's providence, or are acting in concert with that direction, even indirectly, are on the side of God, while those who take an opposing position are on the side of Satan. Therefore, whether or not an individual or nation belongs to God's side or Satan's side, is not always in agreement with the judgment of our common sense or conscience. For example, someone who is ignorant of God's providence may judge that Moses' killing of the Egyptian taskmaster was evil, yet it may be regarded as a good act, because it was in line with God's providence. Likewise, the Israelites invaded the land of Canaan and killed many Canaanites, seemingly without much justification. To someone ignorant of God's providence, their action might seem evil and cruel nevertheless. It was just in the sight of God, even if there were more good-hearted people among the Canaanites than among the Israelites at that time. The Canaanites collectively belonged to Satan's side, while the Israelites collectively belonged to God's side. Let us further investigate this concept in the sphere of religion. Since the goal of every religion is goodness, every one of them belongs to God's side. However, when a religion obstructs the path of another religion, which stands closer to the center of God's providence, it will find itself standing on Satan's side. A religion is given a mission for its age, but if, after its time of responsibility has passed, it becomes an obstacle to an emerging religion, which comes with a new mission for the next age, then it stands on the side of Satan. Before the coming of Jesus, Judaism and its believers stood on God's side. However, when they persecuted Jesus, who came with a new mission which, among other things, would have fulfilled the purpose of Judaism, they moved to the side of Satan, irrespective of how faithfully they had served God in the past. In the modern world, systems which espouse the Abel-type view of life belong to God's side, while those which espouse the Cain-type view of life stand on Satan's side. For example, no matter how ethical and sacrificial a materialistic thought rooted in the Cain-type view of life may appear from a humanistic perspective, it still belongs to Satan's side. For this reason, the communist world can be judged to be the satanic world. On the other hand, since the democratic world, which grants religious freedom, is based on the Abel-type view of life, it may be judged to be on God's side. Christianity was established as the central religion, with the ultimate mission to fulfill the goals of all religions. 15 Hence, any nation which persecutes Christianity or obstructs its progress, either directly or indirectly, stands on Satan's side. In the First World War, the Allied powers led by Great Britain, the United States, France and Russia were Christian nations. Moreover, they had been fighting to liberate the Christians under persecution in Turkey. Thus, they stood on God's side. On the other hand, Germany and Austria-Hungary, the leading Central Powers, supported Turkey, a Muslim nation which persecuted Christianity. Therefore, together with Turkey, they stood on Satan's side.